Commissioner Mio.
Good morning.
I could tell my dog is out of practice with these meetings because he's not behaving as nicely. He normally would just like lay there quietly and like just understand he gets no attention. But now he seems to think that if he keeps trying, something good's going to happen. Good morning, Commissioner York. You're still on mute.
That's the phrase of the decade, 2020s. You're still muted. Morning, Shireen.
Okay, I think
Good morning.
I think we can get going. Commissioner Vice Chair Watchman is unfortunately unable to join us today because there was a medical situation with a family member and he's where he needs to be, and we will update him, and but we will move forward with the agenda today. So with the blessing of Brian and legal counsel, are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. Agenda item number 1, call to order and roll call. 1A, call for quorum. It is 9:02 a.m. on Monday, August 29th, 2022. I call this meeting of the Independent Redistricting Commission to order. For the record, the Executive Assistant Valerie Newman will be taking roll. When your name is called, please indicate you are present. If you're unable to respond verbally, we ask that you please type your name. Val.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairwoman Newberg.
Present.
Commissioner Meal.
Present.
Commissioner Lerner.
Present.
Commissioner York.
Present.
And also in attendance, we have Executive Director Brian Schmidt. From Snell and Wilmer, we have Brett Johnson and Eric Spencer. No, Eric. Okay, Eric is here. Okay. From Herrera Ariano, we have Roy Herrera and Daniel Ariano, and our transcriptionist, Angela Miller. And that's everyone.
Thank you. And please note for the minutes that a quorum is present. Agenda item 1B, call for notice. Val, was the notice and agenda for the commission meeting properly posted 48 hours in advance of today's meeting?
Yes, it was, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, approval of minutes. We have 2A, the general session from August 8th, 2022. We also have one executive session, item 5, which was the legal presentation and possible action on pending cases. If there's any discussion on the minutes, I entertain that. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve both the general session and executive session minutes from August 8th.
I make a motion that we approve both the general and executive session minutes from August 8th.
I'll second the motion.
With no further conversation, Commissioner Meal.
Aye.
Commissioner Lerner.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Commissioner Newberg is an aye, and with that, the minutes are approved 4-0. We move to agenda item 3, opportunity for public comments. Public comment will now open for a minimum of 30 minutes and remain open until the adjournment of the meeting. Comments will only be accepted electronically in writing on the link provided in the notice and agenda for this public meeting and will be limited to 3,000 characters. Please note, members of the commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. With that, we move to agenda item number 4, discussion on public comments received prior to today's meeting. I open it up to any comments or thoughts from my colleagues. Yeah, there's the dramatically fewer public comments coming in. Makes our homework just a little less taxing, although the legal homework maybe is catching up for us. The only thing I want to say is that we understand that now the focus is a little bit more on just wrapping up legally whatever responsibilities we have left. We're hearing, whatever concerns that are being expressed in the community. I have the greatest faith in our legal counsel. I have to say, they have both individually and collectively exceeded my very high expectation for guiding us through the process to date. And we will continue to do all of our legal analysis with caution and with our state and our mission at the top of our minds. So, and if there's no further comments on public comment, we will move to agenda item number 5, legal presentation and potential action on pending cases. There are 2 issues that we have put in the agenda to discuss. One is the Pinal County Attorney's Office requests for comments related to the complaints from the Arizona Democratic Party, which had been submitted to the Arizona Attorney General. That was submitted in April of 2022. And as a reminder, the Attorney General's office cited a conflict of interest and referred it to the Pinal County Attorney's Office. And then B is the issue that we have discussed, Moore versus Harper, a case that will be presented at the United States Supreme Court, and the question of its applicability or relevance to the work that we do as a commission. I'm going to suggest that, given the sensitivity of the legal advice, that we go into executive session, which will not be open to the public for the purpose of obtaining legal advice to further implement and or advance these legal issues we've identified pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3. Anything anybody want to comment on? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I'll move into motion, make a motion to move into executive session.
I'll second.
We'll take a vote. Commissioner Meal,
Aye.
Commissioner Lerner,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Newberg is an aye. With a 4-0 vote, we'll move into executive session. We will return to the public session and give some feedback. So with that, please X out of this link and go into the executive session. Okay, I don't see Brett. I want to make sure that all our council is in place before we, there you are, and Eric. Want to make sure everybody's in place before we rejoin in the public session. We good to go? All right, thank you everybody for your patience. We were discussing in executive session the Pinal County Attorney's request for comments related to the Democratic Party's correspondence to Arizona Attorney General from April of 2022. And we discussed Moore versus Harper. So let's take it one at a time. With 5A, our response to the Pinal County Attorney's Office. Our council has prepared a response. The commissioners have had a chance to look at the draft. I open it up to if there's any comments or anything that my colleagues would like to share on that front.
Well, go ahead, Commissioner York.
I was just going to say I'm in favor of the draft.
This is Commissioner Lerner. I had some concerns about some of the verbiage used in the draft, some of the comments that are made, and I would, in terms of how things are portrayed. And so I'll be happy to work with our attorneys in reviewing those statements as part of that. And I can do that offline in terms of the actual response. But I wanted to note that I do have, I would like to be able to do that and have some of those concerns.
My general, idea of consensus is that it's a very thoughtful, responsible response that stays in our lanes. And I absolutely encourage all commissioners to read thoroughly. And I appreciate our council being willing to, look at semantics and be as specific as we can to, reflect what we feel and to protect our commission.
So I will go ahead and, Chairwoman, then I will go ahead and work directly with the attorneys on any concerns I have about what is written in the letter then. Offline. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to confirm with council, our tentative schedule for filing that, did you say it's at the end of this week or Wednesday? I don't remember which one was which.
We have to talk to the Pinal County Attorney's Office, but we're hoping for at least the latest by mid-September. But if they're watching, we would respectfully request an extension of time. So,
per the commissioner's request.
During our executive session, we did have consensus that we agreed to the approach. Correct?
Without talking about what happened in executive session, we do we understand that the chair is going to give us direction to proceed as directed or as discussed in the executive session.
Okay.
Yes, and there is no need for a vote. This is not an affirmative action. We are responding to a complaint against us. And, we, based on our conversation, we would like our council to move forward with the response that you have prepared, with the understanding that commissioners have the ability to weigh in on specific wordage, verbiage, to make sure it's as close to what we're all comfortable with as possible. And that will be, it sounds like it's imminent, but with a couple of weeks, hopefully, maybe an extension.
Sounds good.
Anything else on this Pinal County response? Moving on to 5B, the Moore versus Harper United States Supreme Court issue. We had an opportunity to ask questions of council about our responsibilities to protect our map as it relates to whether or not there are pros and cons to submitting an amicus brief. And I open it up first to my colleagues to see if you have any thoughts or comments you want to make on this. I do want to acknowledge that we are short a commissioner. So we may not be voting on this issue right now, given that, it may be something we want all 5 of us to weigh in on. but we do need to collectively talk in public session about our next steps and what we would like to do moving forward. We need to give direction to our council.
This is Commissioner Meal. I'm inclined to think that this lawsuit is going to go forward without us joining in, and I don't see a compelling reason for us to do so.
And this is Commissioner Lerner, and I, surprisingly, I suppose, have a different perspective on that. I believe the fact that based on the reading of, based on the reasoning that we have, I believe it's very important that we file this amicus. And I believe that because we want to be defending the work of our commission. We want to be defending what the voters wanted. We are not getting directly involved in some of the issues that is in North Carolina that relates to judicial authority, but we are getting involved in our own authority. And my concern about not filing is that we won't have a voice. And I think it's important when there are things that are related to precedents, and there are things that are related to looking at the role that the commission plays in drawing our lines, that we take that voice when we have that opportunity. And I think this amicus brief does a very good job of providing information and background on why the IRC and redistricting commissions in the role that we have, that we play, and that we want to continue to be able to play. This was something that's in our state constitution, and we don't want to lose the opportunity that was passed by the voters that has been in place now. This is our third iteration. We want to leave established law in Arizona alone, and I think by filing that amicus, it allows us to have a voice in presenting the argument over why that's important.
Do you want to weigh in, Commissioner York?
I'm sort of torn, to be honest with you. I mean, the case does recognize the 2015 case in Arizona. The case is going to go forward with or without us. Do we need a voice in the room, or shall we honor the work we've done and move on? So I'm still not totally convinced either way, and so I'm sort of in a spot where I'm in a conundrum, I guess.
Okay. That's I think that reflects then that you're doing your job as a commissioner, which is to learn and examine and ask really tough questions and reflect. And I think we have all been doing this. From my perspective, after giving it great thought, I'm in strong support of filing the amicus. I think it's the best way to protect the work that we, I think, so diligently did. I think it's the best way to protect states' rights versus federal rights when it comes to redistricting. It's consistent with all of the pre-suit litigation strategy our attorneys have adopted from the beginning, which is always looking at it through the lens of what will make it the cleanest path to establishing valid maps, mitigating other complicated, legal challenges. And I see that completely still up that alley, that we absolutely have the power to, potentially make an impact on how people see this and protect the right of Arizona people who have spoken on Proposition 106. So, we are not, for better or worse, the 5 commissioners were not attorneys, and the attorneys that are guiding us, I think we all agree they've given us remarkable feedback, insight into all of it. I think given that there's just not agreement and consensus we need to bring in Vice Chair Watchman. I mean, and maybe give ourselves another day or two to ask tough questions, talk with other attorneys, examine the law. But my recommendation, and Brian, I may need you involved in this conversation. Can we urgently schedule another meeting, a public meeting, before this incredibly tight deadline for the attorneys to get the brief done?
We have to post 48 hours in advance. So to do something Wednesday, we'd have to post by this afternoon.
Okay, let me ask, since Vice Chair Watchman's not here right now, looking at our calendars in the next 2 days, and this is a very serious issue at play, so I understand, my calendar's full. I'm going to have to, I'm sure, cancel things, but I think this is really urgent. So what do we have looking at the next couple of days?
We have to post in 48 hours, and we also have to have the vote by Wednesday.
So we could do it Wednesday, we could post the agenda in the next few hours. We could meet as early as Wednesday afternoon, or
Is that enough
Wednesday
time?
late morning,
No, to do.
Thursday
Meet in the-
early morning.
No, Wednesday's.
Wednesday's okay?
Yeah.
I'm not, we can do it earlier than potentially as well. Maybe if you want an 8 o'clock meeting, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Well, we wouldn't, because of the 48, excuse me, sorry, Madam Chair to interrupt, because of the 48-hour notice, we would need to have it.
Okay.
It can only be 48 after 8 hours after, as soon as we get the agenda out. So,
I'm not available from 1:30 to 3. But
what
I'm
about at 11?
I could do 11 or 11:30
That's close.
Okay.
or noon. I could do noon as long as we're done by 1:30, which we should be.
That would work. Later afternoon.
Watchman's not available. We have to connect Watchman into this conversation.
Well,
But that's a strong possibility on Wednesday afternoon. I'll make anything work.
well, you have to do it at lunchtime. I mean, let's do it at noon. And Brian, you got to get a hold of Commissioner Watchman.
No.
So.
Yeah, and I think hopefully things will be calmer for him and he'll be able to be there, be available on Wednesday.
Okay.
I do agree that it's important that we try to have all of us together if we can.
I'll just make one note. Originally, when we were talking about dates for a follow-up, he was only available today.
Well, unfortunately, he has to change his schedule.
It's an urgent issue that there's a lot at stake. And like I said, I know I have a lot of meetings to change. So we will commit to the state to do our best. And I think our record speaks for itself. Our attendance, all 5 of us, has been, I think, remarkable through the process. So I'm optimistic. All right.
And we have, in case that doesn't work, that particular time, other than what Commissioner Meal is unavailable, is everybody otherwise flexible in case the noon doesn't work for Commissioner Vice Chair Watchman? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do what's necessary.
So I will have some issues as it gets much later in the day. After 3 to 4, that's going to start to become a problem for me, just because I'll be on travel and that I may or may not be able to access things. So just to mention that.
Yeah, first priority is just getting a hold of Watchman to lock in a time so we can get the agenda out. And that's what we'll work on that ASAP.
Yep.
Thanks for everybody's flexibility. Okay, anything else on agenda item number 5? Okay, with that, we will move to agenda item number 6, which is announcements. The only thing relevant is stay tuned to, an imminent, another public meeting coming soon, hopefully in the next couple of days. And if no other announcements, agenda item number 7, closing of the public comments. Please note, members of the commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. With that, we move to agenda item number 8, adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Commissioner York.
Second.
Commissioner Meal,
Aye.
Commissioner Lerner,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Newberg is an aye. With that, we will adjourn. Thank you for everybody's time, and we hope that we're going to reconvene sometime very shortly later this week. Have a good day.